Today we're going to be rendering beeswax. The process is a lot easier than people sometimes think. The way you do it, you have to heat the wax, and as it heats, it will float to the top and it will leave behind the honey and the impurities. The easiest way to do this is to take your cappings, which we've got here, and any comb that you've had to scrape out or anything, and dump it into a crock pot. Use one that you don't intend to use for anything else ever again, because as you can see it gets pretty disgusting and it's almost impossible to clean that off. And just put the lid on and turn it on and let it heat. You want to stay home while you're doing it. Don't do this and go off to work because there is a risk of fire. But you're going to just heat it up and let it go for a while, and after it melts we'll have a very simple second step, and then you're pretty much done. Okay, your next step is going to be to get a cheap Tupperware type container, something that you don't mind ruining forever, and cut the leg off of a pair of very cheap new pantyhose. You don't want to use something nasty and used. And you will stretch the pantyhose over the container. You want to do this very securely, and you're going to tie a knot in the end just to keep it all in place. The next step you have to do very slowly and carefully. It's really easy to spill this, make a horrible mess, and burn yourself pretty badly, so you want to be really, really cautious. You're going to very carefully ladle this liquid into your container. You want to move slowly because it will try to spill out as you're going. And be careful because it's very hot. What this will do is filter out the impurities, leaving behind only the honey and the hot wax. If you have a smaller container, if your crock pot's small, if your container you're going into is bigger, you can pour it out, but you want to be really careful doing that because it's easy to slip and have it spill all over and it can scald you. Normally you would wait until this had cooled to take your filter off, but I went ahead and removed the filter, and I'm shining a light through here so you can kind of see what's going on. You've got a layer of wax at the top part here that's kind of light, and then this darker part on the bottom is your honey. When you render wax, you're heating the honey, and so it's not going to taste quite as good as it does when it just comes straight out of the hive, but you can save it and use it for cooking or that sort of thing. And you end up with this nice layer that will eventually cool, and you'll be able to lift the wax off and rinse the honey off the bottom, and then you can save both to use later. Okay, you can see the wax is starting to cool and solidify. It almost has little cracks in it. That's just kind of the way it kind of comes in from the sides. When it's cooling, it almost looks like marble as it goes. And eventually it'll just be a complete smooth sheet of yellow wax on top. And I'll be able to take a knife and run around the edge and pull it out. And then we'll have our wax separated from the honey. If you look at it from the side, you can see the dark and the light really well now. Okay, now that the wax is all cooled, it's made a big solid sheet on top. All you have to do is run a knife around the edge to separate it from the side of the container. Be careful not to puncture your container, of course. And then you'll simply lift it off, rinse the honey off the bottom, and you can melt it and use it for making lip gloss or hand cream or anything like that. As you can see, the honey on the bottom is very, very dark because it's been heated. Assuming that it doesn't taste scorched, hasn't been overheated, you can use it in cooking. But it just rinses right off that wax, just run under the faucet, and you'll have this nice big sheet of finished beeswax that's ready to use.